Hey, folks.
And we're going to make sure that parents are able to send their kid to kindergarten without having some of this stuff injected into their school curriculum.
We're going to talk about Ron DeSantis' quotation marks "Don't Say Gay" bill and what it actually says. Kyrie Irving stands up for freedom.
It was never to just take a stand. It was really to make sure that I'm standing on what I believe in and freedom. Freedom. I don't think that's a word that gets defined enough in our society about the freedom to make choices with your life without someone telling you what to do.
And Jon Stewart's hypocrisy is just too much for me to allow.
I think the conversation is then this. We have an awful history. Its remnants are still felt today.
We also have a great history, John.
Say it again?
We also have a great history.
But I think you're minimizing it.
That's going to be the show for today, folks. I hope you're strapped in. It's going to be a wild one. It's starting in 5, 4, 3, 2. What's going on, folks? Hope you're having a beautiful day. I got a lot of stuff I want to talk about. The Ron DeSantis Don't Say Gay bill. I also want to highlight Kyrie Irving's really cool press conference. And then I want to address Jon Stewart's, I would say over the top, unnecessary, and hypocritical stances. So that's going to be a big one as well. But as you guys are coming in, I want to show you something interesting, just left over from the whole Oscars thing. I found that there was some sort of clip saying that BioNTech and Pfizer sponsored the Oscars, and some people put together that there's this new alopecia drug coming out with Pfizer. I'm not saying it's coordinated. I'm not trying to make a conspiracy theory or anything. I don't think that the slap was staged. I really don't. I would tell you if I did. However, I did put this little clip together just to show you something pretty interesting that's at least worth looking at. Let's take a look now.
BioNTech and Pfizer are proud sponsors of the Oscars. This year, back at the Dole, BioNTech and Pfizer are proud sponsors of the Oscars.
I always bring this up because this is important. Big Pharma is the #1 lobbyist in Washington. They pay off the most politicians. They are involved in celebrity culture. In my perspective, they've successfully brainwashed our country to not believe in free speech and do the bidding of their entire industry and their products and act as if they're a religion and they can't be questioned. It's disgusting. And when it comes to this slap, I'm not saying it was planned because honestly, I don't think it was. I think it was organic personally. I would tell you if I did. However, a lot of people online have noticed that Pfizer last week announced a positive top-line result for a phase 3 trial of a drug right on their website. And that drug is said to help a lot of things, including alopecia, which has been thrusted into the spotlight by the Will and Jada situation. I'm not saying it's planned. I'm not saying they're in on it. I just found it very fascinating, and I figured I'd share it.
BioNTech and Pfizer are proud sponsors of the Oscars. This year, back...
Once again, I just thought that was fascinating. I don't think it was staged, but BioNTech, Pfizer, Big Pharma, they have their hands in everything. They pay off politicians. They pay off celebrities. That's not my opinion. That's just the reality. So this idea now in this country, we're going to show the clips of other stuff, but that freedom should not be allowed and our new religion is Big Pharma and you're some sort of crazy kook for questioning their products, whether it be efficacy or safety. That's not based in science, folks. That's a corrupt industry buying off people, celebrities, paying a lot of money. It's like if, Toyota is the sponsor of the Oscars, are you going to sit up on stage and badmouth Toyota when they're paying you money to put on your show? Probably not. You know what I'm saying? So just something to think about. Let's play this clip real quick because I haven't really weighed in on it because I'm just so tired of the media lying and Democrats lying. I'm not saying Republicans are right about everything. I don't believe that. But every time Republicans say something, it's like Democrats have to make up this huge lie. 1 + 1 is 1,000 and you hate gay people. And it's just like, read the bill. So here's what they're saying. Don't say gay. They're acting as if this bill is some sort of like anti, homosexual bill that Republicans are just going too far. And the reality of it is Ron DeSantis is trying to keep the perversion and the brainwashing out of like very, very small children's curriculum. And let's just listen to him in his own words and read the bill, or at least a section of the bill from ABC. Okay, check this out. So what does the bill actually say? Democrats are pushing propaganda just saying gay, 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 don't say gay, they hate the gays or whatever, but ABC News admits the bill bans classroom instruction on sexual orientation or gender identity in kindergarten through 3rd grade and states that any instruction on those topics cannot occur in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with state standards according to the legislation. Here's Ron DeSantis explaining that to a journalist trying to falsely frame it.
Ask me about 7 parental rights in education, what critics call the Don't Say Gay bill, is on the Senate floor.
Does it say that in the bill?
I know that you support.
Does it say that in the bill?
I'm asking you to
tell me what's in the bill, because you are pushing false narratives. It doesn't matter what critics say.
Hold on. It says it bans classroom instruction on sexual identity and gender orientation.
For who?
For
grades pre-K through 3. So 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds. And the idea that you wouldn't be honest about that and tell people what it actually says, it's why people don't trust people like you, because you peddle false narratives. And so we disabuse you of those narratives. And we're going to make sure that parents are able to send their kid to kindergarten without having some of this stuff injected into their school curriculum.
I just wanted to put this, I appreciate you guys for being here. I wanted to put this up because now I can highlight comments. Somebody said, keep talking about red and blue. That will help for sure. Yeah, I don't think you're understanding what I'm trying to do, because I'm not saying one side is perfect, but there is a situation going on in this country where basic common sense stuff. I'm going to play a clip right now of Ralph Northam, okay? I don't care at this moment in my life where you stand on the abortion topic. At one point in America, okay, it wasn't red versus blue, left versus right, you're wrong. There are gray areas in this world. One of them being abortion is, when does a life become a life? Is the sperm a life? Is the egg a life? Is it conception? Is it the heartbeat? You know, these are tough conversations because, you know, I'm not trying to like get weird with it, but like men have sperm, women have eggs, and, you know, at a certain point they create, but when it's just sitting in your, you know what, it's like, it's not really alive, but it kind of is. So I understand the conversation that the left and right always had behind abortion. I think it at one point was trying to figure out what's good and evil. When does it become a life? That's no longer the case. The right wing is saying, hey, you're going a little too far. And the left wing is saying, well, you know, what about third trimester? What about birth? What about after birth? Like, this wasn't normal stuff. So to ignore this and act as if both sides are exactly completely right about these topics, it's just disingenuous. So here's a clip of Ralph Northam, what I would consider after birth abortion, not saying, let's try to figure out when this baby's alive and then have a decision. He actually goes as far as to say, you know, what if we just, you know, resuscitated the baby and then made a decision, which I would consider just straight up child murder. So they are moving the lines and blurring the lines of reality, which is the reason I'm playing this, is they're doing the same thing with the Don't Say Gay bill. They are doing everything that Christian pastors said they would do. I thought Christian pastors were going too far. I actually think Christian pastors now were understating it, and the left and these degenerates have gone way too far. I'm like, oh, if people get married, it's not a big deal. I was pro-gay marriage when I was younger. What do I care? I don't even know what marriage is. I'm too young. Now I'm like, oh, they really are trying to push sexualization on children. It's not every gay person doing it. I'm not blaming everybody, but this is what the mainstream movement is hiding their wicked agenda behind, and saying, oh, what's wrong with teaching 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds about sex? It's like, a lot of things is wrong with that. Just like if you're trying to figure out what abortion is, it's like, when does that become a life? I don't want you to have to agree with me, but I want to have an honest faith discussion. When is it a life? This is not an honest faith discussion. This is stuff you're not seeing in the Republican Party right now. And this has not become a fringe thing on the left. This has become status quo Democrats. And unfortunately, only people that vote red, and only libertarians to an extent, are the ones who see through this. I don't know why the programming's so deep, but let's watch Ralph Northam blur the lines of reality like they're trying to do with the Don't Say Gay bill, which is not even what it says. Take a look.
If a mother is in labor, I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother. So I think this was really blown out of proportion.
Dude, you think it was blown out of proportion, bro? If you're trying to figure out when a child is alive, like, hey, when does it become a human, and what is the moral thing to do? I'm okay with you disagreeing with me, because I know it's a complex issue. When you say we should resuscitate the baby during labor and then have a discussion of what discussion are you talking about, bro? Because at that point, if the labor happens and it's alive and you're resuscitating it, that means that there's life there. So you're just murdering an actual baby. So they've taken the when does a baby become a baby so far that they are literally willing, in my perspective, to kill babies after birth. And then all of a sudden they're libertarian. If you watch the rest of the clip, he goes into this thing as if like, oh, I want to keep government out of it. We're going to watch it again. Oh, you're going to keep government out of Ralph Northam? You want to force mass children? You want to take over our whole life? You want to take taxes? You want to do all this stuff? Big government, big government. You can't even just breathe normally and be yourself. But all of a sudden, when it comes to blurring the lines of reality behind child murder and when it becomes murder and when it's just, a natural process, now all of a sudden you're a libertarian. These people are evil, folks. I'm not saying Republicans are perfect. I'm not saying all Democrats are bad, but the modern day Democratic Party has literally lost their minds. They are not the JFK Democrats. They are not the Obama Democrats even. This is a new level of psychosis through media programming that most people don't realize how wicked these become. And I can't help but notice that, unfortunately, right-wingers are on the right side of this issue, and the only ones complaining about this seem to be the right wing. How many Democrats do you see complaining about something like this? We're big government in every sense of the word except for child murder, and now all of a sudden we're libertarians and you could just resuscitate a baby and kill it? What the hell, folks? Why only are right-wing people figuring this stuff out? This is creepy. If freaking Ron DeSantis said this, I'd be on his grill too. I don't care that I like his other topics. I'd be yelling at Trump over this. This is like some of the darkest, most insane stuff that is said casually, and only right-wingers seem to care about it. We're going to watch at the part where he's like, well, let's keep the government out of it.
If a mother is in labor, I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother. So I think this was really blown out of proportion. But again, we want the government not to be involved in these types of decisions. We want the decision to be made by the mothers and their providers. And this is why.
So, now we want the government out of it, right? Oh, we want the government. We just want the parents to decide. You don't want parents. So with the DeSantis bill, Democrats are screaming, Disney, the psychopaths over there, screaming. They don't want the parents to be able to have a say in their mental health practices, which is sometimes, I think the kids should be able to get help, but sometimes help is, a psycho person brainwashing them a narrative that you don't want your kids to learn. Parents should be involved in their school. Parents should have somewhat of a say, I think, in the school system and curriculum. Democrats are totally against that. They're framing it as if parents are, oh my God, they want all this stuff. Parents should not be allowed to let their kid not have a mask over their face. They're taking away your fundamental human rights on every level. But when it comes to after birth abortion, not mid-birth abortion, it's not even like, third trimester, which I think is personally too far. There's a conversation to be had. I truly believe it. I'm not just saying this. Like, it's difficult stuff. Like, is my sperm alive? Kind of, but not really. Like, whatever. I'm just saying there is a good faith a conversation to have. That is not it. This is the modern day Democratic Party, and they're doing this with the Don't Say Gay bill. If you are an adult and you are Dave Rubin and you say, I like men, I don't know what to really say. I don't have to agree with it. I don't have to, I think Mark Dice should be allowed to say something. I don't agree with your marriage or your kids. And then some people could say, congratulations, that's America. You don't have to like somebody's lifestyle. You don't have to agree with their sexuality from a biblical perspective, or you could just not care about it. To me, I don't want to hyper make people feel the way I feel on every single topic where it's like, it's okay as long as people are doing their thing, where you don't have to say everything's great. But when it comes to this Don't Say Gay bill, it has nothing to do with adults, or it's children. Children think, if you tell a kid you're a fireman, they think they're a fireman. If you tell a kid they're a woman, they're going to think they're a woman. It's not like they're autonomous individuals. Yes, they should be creative, but kids don't know anything. You teach them the language. If your kid grows up in Russia from a Russian parent, it's going to learn Russian. If that kid gets adopted and goes to America, it's going to speak English. Literally, you're molding your kid from like the early ages. So the fact that you should put homosexuality in the schools, which you can't say the word homosexual without the word sexuality. It's a sexual discussion. It just is. I'm sorry. It shouldn't be in kids' schools. That doesn't make me anti-gay. It's just reality. So this is how sick Democrats are. They move the needle from, normal abortion to third trimester to after birth abortion, which in my opinion is just murder. And they act like you're a bad person if you disagree with it. They move the needle from gay marriage to everything's gay to we're just going to hate on you all the time to you're not allowed to disagree with it to transgender swimmers to literally, pumping sexuality into 5-year-olds, which is just like child grooming and abuse, in my opinion. And don't say gay. We're going to make this whole fake narrative around it. We're going to make this whole fake propaganda campaign that's just viral and everybody's saying it. They don't even know what the bill says. I'm sorry, parents have the right to not want their kids to learn that in a public school. I believe Ron DeSantis is right. And like I used that Ralph Northam clip to show you guys, the slippery slope is real. I used to think personally, as a more liberal person, that Christian pastors were wrong. They were overdoing it. They were mean. They were harsh. I apologize to any Christian pastor that I ever thought that about. you were not only right about the slippery slope, you were actually understating it. It went further than I ever imagined it was going, and there's no sign of it stopping. So the parallels between, abortion and the LGBT stuff, I think are very similar. There is a conversation to be had about these things. It's a tough topic for everybody. It's controversial. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be harshness on both sides. In a free country, we got to talk about it. We got to be allowed to talk about it. But what you're having now is the Democratic Party forcing their agenda through these topics, using them as a shield, and then trying to act and lie about every single bit of the way that you are not allowed to oppose it. They are full-blown, communist-style, authoritarian-minded people when it comes to censorship, cancel culture, forced lockdowns, forced masking, forced vaccination. They're full-blown authoritarians. There's no other way around it. They're literally willing to kick you out of society, discriminate against you, treat you like a subhuman, and wish for your death if you disagree with the Pfizer mRNA injection, who just so coincidentally seems to be the number one lobbyist in Washington who's paying all these scumbags off. They dehumanize you. But, if you have a stance of like wanting to say, hey, maybe a 6-year-old, maybe you should teach that at like 14, or maybe you shouldn't really be teaching it at all. They should just learn from life experiences and you should stick to other topics. There's a debate to be had, but they're trying to really inject their, what I would consider immorality into every single thing. And I'm not trying to act like I'm the most holier than thou person. I give room for gray areas because there are gray areas in life. But the Democratic Party is going too far on almost every topic. And once again, people say, well, don't talk about red and blue. This is just the reality of the topic. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. When Trump does something wrong, I'm going to say I think it's wrong. When DeSantis passes an anti-free speech bill, I'm not going to agree with it just because he's a red. I'm not a team player, but when it comes to good versus evil, I'm not saying everybody on this side's bad or everything's good, but if you don't understand good and evil at this point, you're a lost soul because they're making it so obvious. We don't live in 2014 where it's like, what's really going on? They're like, we're pushing the boundary so far towards hell, so far towards immorality, so far that even the most moderate liberal libertarian has to look at it and be like, listen, I'm all for this, but that's crazy. And that's where they're going. Speaking of somebody who stood up for himself, me and Kyrie Irving, I think we have racial, social, political differences, but I respect him as a man and an American citizen for not bowing down to big pharma and the psychotic people over at the NBA and in New York City. And here's a recent speech. He drops the F-bomb, so if that offends you, I apologize. But this is real reality, real history. Kyrie Irving spoke about it. Now he's allowed to play home games. He won the season, in my opinion. He's the MVP, not because he's playing the best, but because he stood up for himself as a man, and now he gets the same rights as everybody else. Freedom and having a spine pays off in the long run. Compromising your values, bowing down, it's deeper than just, I don't want to get this, but I want to keep my job. You're signing up for a life of tyranny. If you can't respect your own freedom and your own privacy, you don't deserve it. So I applaud people like this in this country. Unfortunately, it's a lost art in the country that this should be the status quo. Take a watch rather.
The point of this season for me was never to just take a stand. It was really to make sure that I'm standing on what I believe in freedom. Freedom. I don't think that's a word that gets defined enough in our society about the freedom to make choices with your life without someone telling you what the fuck to do. And whether that carries over into nuances of our society that, politicians control, the government controls, or things people that empower, the powers may be, right, that control. I'm standing for freedom. So that's in all facets of my life. And there's nobody that's enslaving me. There's nobody telling me what I'm going to do with my life. And that's just the way I am. And if I get tarnished, in terms of my image and people try to slander my name continuously because, those aren't things that I forget. I haven't forgotten anything that anybody said. I don't read everything, but I definitely read some things that put my family's name in a certain position that I believe are unfair. I've been discriminated against. People have said things that have been biased. They've gone against their own morals. And where we live in today, I have such a strong moral code of just being honest, being truthful, following God's guidance, and just living with the results. But in terms of that, that's a selfless. I'm a servant, so I'm comfortable being in that position.
Amen. I want to be very clear on this because I never try to give people health advice. What you want to eat, drink, you're vegan, you eat all meat, like that's on you. I trust you to do the research, do what you think is best for you. And if you don't do what's best for you, as long as it's not negatively affecting a lot of people and other people, I'm not really in other people's business. Everybody has flaws. Everyone makes mistakes. Everybody chooses their own destiny to some extent. But on this vaccine, I've told so many people, I'm not making a health decision for you, against you, but I'm trying to tell people, you have to understand, okay? With free speech, I defend speech so much, more than most right-wingers. They're passing anti-Semitism bills. We're going to get into that later. The left wing is going full-blown cancel culture on Joe Rogan. I'm pushing it all back. Why? Do I agree with everybody that I'm defending? I actually don't. I agree with what I say. I don't sugarcoat anything. I tell you exactly what I feel all the time. Very open. I have to defend free speech because once you lose Alex Jones, this person, Donald Trump, the president of the United States, you don't live in a free country anymore. And if they could take away that speech, they went from 1 person to 10 person to the president to 1 million people. You're never getting your freedom back. So I don't understand what liberals are thinking ever anymore at this point. They have literally just been programmed into their own destruction. And a lot of right-wingers are so team red, they don't even realize Trump, DeSantis, Ted Cruz, a lot of them are half-wits when it comes to free speech. Now, I'm not saying they're all terrible. I just praise Ron DeSantis. But it's important for me to say this. I'm not a stickler like you have to be perfect. If you don't defend your freedom, you're not going to have it. So when it comes to a vaccine, I'm not really so concerned with other people's health, to be quite honest. There's people that I walk by that are 500 pounds. I'm not 500 pounds. You think it's my duty to go talk to him? It's like, I'll have a conversation if it comes up naturally, but I'm not in your grill. I'm not in your business, and you don't need to be in mine. But I tell people all the time, it's deeper than this 1 or 2 shots. If you allow them to say that you are not allowed in this restaurant, you are not allowed to work, you are not allowed to travel, you are not allowed to go on a cruise, you are not allowed to fly, whatever it is, forced masking, forced vaccination, whatever, take away. When they had the masking, I said, they're going to do forced vaccination. So many people thought I was crazy. They would never do forced vaccination. Bro, replace the mask with the vaccine. You have given up your freedom. They're going to say no mask, no service, no vax, no service. And that's what they did. It's the same thing with the George Floyd thing, turns into the COVID thing, turns into the Ukraine thing. Just copy and paste. Seriously, that's how easy it is for these people. So you give up your freedom to get 1 injection and you say, well, I will play along with this even though I don't agree with it. I will get 2 injections just for you. You're never going to be left alone. And that's what I try to tell people. I'm not trying to yell at you and be rude, but I am very passionate about this. I want you to be free. If you want to go get a vaccine or the flu shot or whatever, that's your right. I mean, my mom gets it every year. It is what it is. Like, I don't, but she always did. And, we had a conversation about it, but we eat differently. She likes different drinks than I do. We're different people. It's not a big deal. I can't dictate everyone else's life. But with this stuff, if you think you're just getting this and going back to normal, you are so wrong. It's ridiculous. You are now letting the government, the corporate class, the airline industry say, we can discriminate against you based on force masking over your face, injection status with a industry, big pharma. When it comes to certain vaccines, they have no liability. They've signed the PrEP Act, the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act. It's all on record. They don't have liability the same way other industries do. They just don't. So this is a very dangerous precedent to set. It's always been about that. Thank you, Kyrie Irving, for standing up for yourself, because I don't even care what your social, political, whatever views are. If you don't value freedom in this country, you don't deserve it. And I hate to be a stickler, but I feel like from left wing to right wing, we don't deserve freedom. I don't feel like somebody that just needs, I need this, I need that. I'm grateful every day for everything I have. I work my ass off, and any day, no matter how hard I work, it could all be taken away. So I praise God. I thank the Lord, and I use what the Lord gave me, and I try to, maximize my every single day when I can. I'm not perfect, but I don't live in this world where we deserve all this stuff. So, people like Kyrie Irving, these are the only athletes I respect. Anybody that went against their morals, their values to do this, you just open the same wormhole that you open with free speech. If you don't get social and political speech for the unpopular stuff, you are going to live in a 1984 world. It's not maybe, it's definitely. The First Amendment doesn't say you can't talk about Jews, or you can't talk about Muslims, or you can't talk about black people, or you can't talk about liberals, or you can't talk about white people, or you can't talk about powerful white people, but you can talk about poor white people. That's not what the First Amendment says. So if you decide that you feel that way because you don't want to hear anti-Semitism, or you think that's racist, or you think that's against big pharma or against science, you're going to live in 1984 world. You have to defend your freedom of speech. You have to defend your right to bodily autonomy, or else it's not, maybe it will be used against you. It absolutely will be used against you. It already has. this issue is so much bigger than just a health decision to me. Health is definitely a part of it, but this country does not deserve freedom. Europe does not deserve freedom. Most countries in the world, it's like, you act that way, you get what you act like. So I really pray that people wake up, because it's so much deeper than even just a health decision. It's a decision of, are you willing to give up that ideology that they can put that and stick that in you with no liability for your health and force you out of these type of things that this type of discrimination hasn't been in our country for decades, and now it's normalized. People got to wake up. Speaking of that, I want to show something real quick for humor, and then we're going to get into the Jon Stewart clip, because I have a lot to say about that. I have a lot to talk about race, ethnicity, since he likes to talk about it all the time, and liberals do. And I'm going to keep it really real and really raw. I have no hate in my heart. I got love for people of all races, all religions, all ethnic groups, but I'm not a fraud. I don't like the hypocrisy, and we're going to get into it. First, I have an AOC joke real quick. I saw this trending on Twitter. It says AOC's warning for Democrats, we're in trouble. First of all, she looks like a sleep paralysis demon. Hopefully you've never had sleep paralysis. It's scary, but I had it one time like 15 years ago. That's what it looked like. It looked like AOC sitting on my chest like, ah! I'm like, dude, could she possibly look less psychotic or more psychotic? This is a poll I did on Twitter. It says, would you rather someone tell you the comforting lie or the tough truth? Obviously, it's only 681 people, but most people, 98% said tough truth. The reason I bring this up is because when it comes to political correctness, this is the same question being asked. The tough truth is something that most people want to hear. They might not be able to handle it when it comes, but nobody wants to be lied to. But in reality, political correctness is the comforting lie versus the tough truth. So through political correctness, through all this stuff, through manipulation of social groups, etc., they are now normalizing censorship and lies. Just give me the comforting lie. I don't want to know the tough truth. I want to pretend to have it's destroying our whole society. But without further ado, here's the Jon Stewart clip. He has some sort of psychotic left-wing bizarro lady on, some seemingly common sense guy, and Jon Stewart throws this guy under the bus like a total scumbag. And I have a lot to say about it, and I have a lot to say since Jon loves talking about ethnic groups and how evil history is. I have a question for Jon Stewart. If I did that about your ethnicity, Jon Stewart, if I did 1/1000th of what you did, I don't, because I'm not a scumbag and I don't believe that. But if I did, would you handle it? Of course not. He'd be crying anti-Semitism. He called Harry Potter anti-Semitic. He's super defensive about his ethnic group. But when it comes to other people's ethnicity, he's willing to tell you it's evil, you're horrible, you're a racist. Jon Stewart is just the ultimate scum. Take a look.
I think the conversation is then this. We have an awful history. Its remnants are still
We
felt
also have
today.
a great history, John.
Say it again?
We also have a great history.
But I think you're minimizing it. You're suggesting that because
I think by calling today white supremacy, you are minimizing actual white supremacy. We have an incredible diversity. To condemn all American history as racist.
I disagree that they're generalizing all white people. The systems that were racist that were put in place.
Systems.
Yes. The systems that were put in place.
I'd like you to explain exactly what they are.
Well, I thought I explained it earlier about the GI Bill and about the New Deal.
That's one thing. I want to know about these systems.
I just explained it. Housing.
That's food. One, and I've agreed that.
Andrew, you're not living on the same fucking planet we are. Honestly. I really don't think you are.
I think you are not living in the planet most Americans are, which is why this kind of extremism, this anti-white extremism, is losing popular support, is creating a backlash, is going to elect Republicans and undo a lot of the good you think you're doing.
This is what happens when you don't talk about it. This is what happens when white people don't talk about it, is you have racist dog whistle tropes like this that actually perpetuate and perpetuate and perpetuate. So I did not come on this show to sit here and argue with another white man. That's one of the reasons that we don't even engage with white men at Race to Dinner. Because quite honestly, if white men were going to do something about racism, you had 400 years. You could have done it. Okay? So
I am 58 years old.
I'm shutting you down right now.
I am not responsible for anyone before me.
I'm so tired of just engaging in this conversation and this deep hurt that Andrew has about talking about racism. And Chip, God bless you, but I'm going to put everybody in the thing. All of us white people do this. I don't care if we say we're abolitionists. I don't care if we say we're progressive. I don't care if we're literally members of the KKK. Every single white person upholds these systems and structures of white supremacy, and we have got to talk about it.
If I could finger snap, I would finger snap right now. Let's remove it then from the
calling me a racist, John.
You've been doing a pretty good job with it yourself there. So,
all right, so a lot to digest there. First of all, it's like the dude just made a basic point, trying to have a conversation that's, you know, another gray area. They call him a racist. They call him a dog whistler. She admits that they don't engage with white men at their dinner. Okay, so imagine if any other group, political group, social group, whatever, said, we don't engage with your race or your gender at a dinner. Feminists would lose their mind. Black people would lose their mind. Not all. I'm just saying, like, black, you know, certain groups. People would not allow this. But these people are always projecting. It's like they are the most racist. They have the most anger and hate and evil inside of them that they're projecting on other people. Like this lady, you know, I'm not trying to get into it because I'm not a bully. I mean, clearly she is, but I think she has a lot of mental and physical issues that instead of taking care of herself, she's manifesting out and blaming everybody instead of, you know, taking control of her own life. But by looking and listening to her and seeing the, you know, her emotion, clearly she doesn't have control over her own life. But, you know, for Jon Stewart to do that, you know, this lady, I know a lot of people have been programmed. Jon Stewart, he's a celebrity, etc. He's got some good points, but you know, this is one thing that really irks me a lot because I understand everybody gives it to everybody. You have white people, black people, Asian, whatever. Everybody has an opinion. Some people are against their own people. Some people feel a different way. It's whatever. But this is one of, in my opinion, one of the biggest things going on in Hollywood and one of the biggest deceptions and really race-based evils out there that you're not even allowed to talk about. So Jon Stewart is Jewish, okay? He's ethnically Jewish. There's nothing wrong with that. He should not take any blame for anything. It's not his ancestors' fault. I would never do to Jon what he's trying to do to white Europeans and Americans, etc. I would never blame Israel for all the world's problems or his people for all the world's. I would never do that. I'm like, you're not responsible for what people have done thousands of years ago. And in general, in every culture, black, Jewish, you know, white, Christian, Muslim, whatever it is, there's good history and bad history. I would never look at a Muslim and say your whole history is evil, you know, go to hell. It's like, dude, you're basically stomping on somebody's roots and just saying you're a piece of garbage, you know, dehumanizing them. And that's what this lady's doing, is saying we don't even allow your race and your gender at our dinners. It's like, you are the evil people that you see, but Jon Stewart is the biggest victim. He's crying about Harry Potter, okay? Harry Potter's a fictional movie with wizards, warlocks, you know, like beasts and stuff, wildebeest, like, I don't even remember, but it's a fictional fake movie with monsters. And Jon Stewart says that the bankers in Harry Potter are anti-Semitic. Listen, nobody thinks about this stuff when they're watching a fake movie, bro. But he has this projection thing where he knows that Jewish people are dominant in banking. You know, they pass, I'm not saying John does, but they pass speech laws to say that you can't say that. It's anti-Semitism. And then he projects onto a movie that's totally fake and scripted and says that it's some sort of anti-Semitism. So Jon Stewart is such a fragile little scumbag that he can't even accept a fictional movie that doesn't even name his ethnic group because it's not about ethnicity in the movie, and he's calling them hate speech. Meanwhile, if I did to Jon Stewart about his ethnic history, about his ancestors, if I said they were evil and they owned slaves, which, you know, some of them obviously owned slaves. It wasn't all white Europeans. Black people owned slaves. Muslims owned slaves. Jews owned a lot of slaves in America. They just don't teach that history because they have to play the big victim card. That's the big secret. But in general, it's not to blame everybody. It's not to hate anybody. It's just to say that Jon Stewart would never let me do 1/1000th to his ethnic group that he does to my ethnic group on a daily basis. And, you know, I don't have this huge ethnic supremacy ideology or anything, but a lot of people do in this world, and a lot of Jewish people do in this world. There's certain Talmudic rabbis, and once again, you know, some of my friends that are Jewish are some of the most charitable, nice people in my life. This is not everybody. It's like, you're not responsible if you're Muslim for radical Islamic terrorism. You know, people are not responsible for the worst in their ethnic or religious groups. I don't believe that. I've been blessed with a lot of really great Jewish people in my life, but there are some ethnic supremacists that believe that, goyim, which is non-Jews, are like subhuman and they deserve this, they deserve that. There's certain Talmudic rabbis that put part of the Talmud and say, well, the goyim need to be treated differently. We need to have different set of rules for them. If you're doing business and banking with a Jewish person, you don't charge them usury loans. If you do it with the goyim, you charge them. They literally have their own loan system where they scam non-Jews more than they would their own people. That's not everybody doing it. I'm not blaming Jon Stewart or everybody that works at a bank, but that is part of Jewish culture to some extent, whether it's 1% doing it, 0.1%, 10%. I'm not really sure because it's the most secretive race religion that never takes accountability for anything. And people like Jon Stewart sit on television and build up race-based hate against me and men and all this stuff, when they don't mean a lick of what they say. But I'm just saying in general, there's no equal conversation when it comes to this stuff. You're just supposed to sit there, let people discriminate against you based on your big pharma status, let people discriminate against you based on your gender or your race. And if you ever did 1/1000th or 1/100,000th of what Jon Stewart does to white people, he would have an absolute fit. And the reason he's so comfortable doing that is because he doesn't consider himself white. He considers himself Jewish. So if he's bashing white, he's doing ethnic-based hate. And they know that they're doing this. People who puppeted the Black Lives Matter, one of the guys' last name is Mann. He's a Jewish man. And he said, I was inspired because my mom told me the goyim are so bad and they're trying to get me and I had to do this. His whole ideology is based on hating non-Jews. He admitted that publicly and feels like neurotic, so he's out doing all this wicked stuff all the time. It's not to say that you're not allowed to feel that way or have these beliefs, but people like Jon Stewart, they say, oh yeah, I hate white people, I'm so bad. But then if you're like, well, you consider yourself Jewish, right? Like, do you think you did anything evil in history? Do you feel, the shame of your ancestors for owning slaves? Of course you don't, so it's like, stop with this nonsense, man. It's so ridiculous. And there's a lot of people of their own race that are brainwashed in general. But, if you're Black, you shouldn't have to think that your entire history is evil. Black people did amazing things in history, and Black people did messed up things in history. Black people sold themselves into slavery. There's certain Black people that were the Benedict Arnold of the Black race. There were Black slave masters. This is real history. There were Jewish slave masters. There were, I'm sure, white slave masters, So I'm not saying that it's all, but this idea that America's history is evil, George Washington and people like that walk circles around the fraudulent John Leibowitz, aka Jon Stewart. He could never fathom a system that they fathomed. It wasn't based off of all evil and slavery. If you read the Constitution, they were basing it off liberty and prosperity and free markets. And this idea is smarter than anything you'll see on television. I'm not saying the founding fathers were perfect, but this idea, our history in America is 100% evil and 0% good. It's a total fraudulent fail. And these people come in and replace this way better system than they can do with an evil system, and then act like you're a racist, sexist, anti-Semite, xenophobe, conspiracy theorist, anti-vaxxer if you disagree with it, because they push that agenda. Sometimes it's hidden behind Jewish groups. Sometimes it's hidden behind Black groups or gay groups or, big pharma. And they use that as a victim shield. And then when you push back against it, like, could Colin Kaepernick take half of what he dishes out? Of course not. He would cry racist at 1/1000th. If you could clone Colin Kaepernick and make him 100% white and do what Colin Kaepernick does for Black people with a white guy, Colin Kaepernick would freak out. He would say that that's a Nazi supremacist. So the whole psychology behind this is the people that are dishing out the most race-based hate, race-based discrimination, what they want is an unequal society. They want to be able to blast you. They want to be able to badmouth your ancestors, badmouth your history. And you just have to sit there and take it, not notice what they're doing, and say, thank you, can I have another? Thank you, can you destroy my life? Thank you, can you kick me out of a restaurant for not having a big pharma injection? Thank you for saying my ancestors did nothing wrong. It's totally fake. America has a lot of issues in its past, but also, I believe personally, there are really smart people like thousands of years ago to say that, oh, Black history or white history or Asian history or Jewish history, it's all evil and that's the end of the story. It's a total lie. Listen to the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. Read the Bible. If you're Muslim, read the Quran. Listen to Greek, Roman philosophers. Listen to Asian philosophers from thousands of years ago. I don't care what your religion or race is. There were smarter people thousands of years ago than we have today. You can't just write it all off as, oh, they're all slave masters in the white race, so there's nothing good and that's all bad. It's not true. Bro, listen to Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius is 1,000 times smarter than John Leibowitz, Listen to Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. Read the Bible. I mean, these people blow away liberals. I mean, a liberal looks like an idiot compared to these people from the past. There were great things going on in the past as well. And I would even say, to some extent, the wisdom of the past is way more prolific. Like, I would rather read the Bible than listen to Jon Stewart any day. You know, you have wisdom and morals and a foundation of how to live a successful life in this 2,000-year-old book than you have on his stupid program. And they want to sit here and say your entire history is evil, your entire ancestry is evil, your entire being is evil, your entire system is evil. Let us replace it with this new system. Let us replace it with forced masking and forced lockdowns and mandates and all this race-based hate. And we're going to call you a homophobe if you don't want kids to be sexualized. It's completely disgusting and it's completely evil. And I have zero hate for anybody. I don't think if you live in Israel or Palestine, it's not my job to tell you that you need to feel sorry. If you're Jewish and you live in Israel, you got to do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? If you feel that's your land and you make that move, you have to live with the consequences, whether it's great or it's not great. If you're Palestinian and you believe you have a right, I'm not going to come in and tell you, you're Palestinian, you need to disavow your whole past. You're Jewish, you need to disavow your whole past. There's great things in every race, religion, and gender, ethnicity, all these things. You know, it's not all evil or all good. I would never do that to John Leibowitz, aka Jon Stewart. I would never look at him and say, disavow slavery from the past, disavow all the mistakes. But John, you know, no offense, but with that culture, when's the last time you heard him say, hey, we also did something? You know, us Jewish people, no, they play the biggest victim card. They take zero accountability. And for thousands of years, it's just like, no, nothing happened. We've never done anything wrong. It's everybody else's fault. It's like, no, it's not. That would be as dishonest as America saying, we've never made a mistake in America. It's all China and Russia's fault. That's a lie. We've made a lot of mistakes in America. It doesn't make me anti-America to admit that, just like it doesn't make me anti-white to say that white people have made mistakes. It doesn't make me anti-Jewish or anti-Muslim or anti-Asian to talk about reality and be honest. But people like Jon Stewart want to bash down at a race that a lot of people thinks he is. But when push comes to shove, he'll be like, I don't really have an attachment to that ethnicity. I don't have an attachment to that race. I don't have an attachment to that history. So he's willing to hate on it. But if you ever did that to the history that he has an attachment to, Jewish history, he would freak out. Are you kidding me? He said that Harry Potter was an anti-Semite because there's, you know, goblins running the banks. And it's like, bro, that's wild levels of like projection and ignorance, because literally nobody was thinking that. We're watching a fictional movie. Like, I don't watch Batman and think like, oh, he's making fun of black people because he's dressed in all black. It's like, you got a problem, bro. You have a victim mind. You dish it out to the 1,000%. You're a total scum. And if anybody ever does 1/1000th or 1/100,000th of the ethnic-based, you know, conversations that you're having, you would cry anti-Semitism, you would cry racism, you would say that it's disgusting and supremacy, but you would never call out your own ethnic group of, you know, certain rabbis that are doing, you know, biased loans towards goyim. You know, you're not going to talk about that, Jon Stewart. That one came out. You know, it's like, you got to be honest about it. And in my opinion, to keep it going, if you feel a certain way about your race, that's on you. I can't tell a Jewish person he has to feel super Jewish or not. There's Jewish people that feel no religion at all. There's Jewish people that feel no connection to their ethnicity at all. Then there's ones that feel strongly. Same with black. Some people are like Kyrie Irving. He's tapped into his ethnic roots, or he thinks he is. And some people aren't. They're like, I don't even care about my race. It doesn't matter. It's not, you know, people like Bryson Gray. I'm not telling people what to think. In fact, I think there's pros and cons to both of it. And I think there's a truth to both of it. I think it's good to know where you come from, but it's also good to be yourself, whatever that is. I don't know who you are. So I don't have a problem with Jewish, white, Asian, Hispanic, whatever, whether it be a race or a religion, saying, I feel this way about my race and this is how I feel about other things. That's on you, really. It's on you to figure out who you are. But what I can't stand is the hypocrisy and the biased censorship, where if you're certain races, your hate for white people, or your hate for men, or your hate for Christians, or your hate even for Muslims in America, you know, it's outpouring. You are allowed to hate as much as you want. And the second somebody comes in and says, hey, I don't know about the Patriot Act. Oh, you must be a terrorist. You know, I don't know about all this like critical race theory. Oh, what are you, a racist? I don't know about sexualizing 4-year-olds. That's disgusting. Oh, you must be a homophobe. Jon Stewart, I don't think you could handle the same heat that you're pushing out. Oh, you must be an anti-Semite. This is the big trap. And what I'm trying to say, people are going to misconstrue it, is I'm fortunate, and I know everybody that watches me, they understand what I'm talking about. Some of my greatest supporters are Jewish. Some of my greatest supporters are Black. Some of them are white. It's not, I have a lot of women watch me. I don't sit and nitpick, be like, I only want one gender, one race. No, this is a message for the human race. This is a message for the world. This is the truth. You know what I'm saying? It's reality. It's just some people can't handle the tough conversations. And even some people on the right are like, whoa, that's a little too much for me. It's like, well, then you're going to continue to lose and you're going to continue to get beaten down on and you're going to continue to get into power and just completely do absolutely nothing and let the left subvert you because this is how they're doing it. And I think these times of Jon Stewart being able to say that, you could say it in a free country, absolutely. But can you be disagreed? Of course not. The guy that was on the show was like, yo, this is how I feel. Racist, dog whistle, white this, white that, you're not invited to dinners. I mean, they dehumanized that guy in real time and Jon Stewart clapped for it. Are you kidding me? Do you think that woman could have said that about Jewish and Jon Stewart would have sat there and let it happen? Of course not, because that's who he is and that's what he cares about. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's okay to defend your ethnic group. It's okay to defend who you think you are. But if you're going to beat down on other people for who they are and who their ancestors were, and you can't take the heat yourself, you're a scumbag. You're a liar. You're a hypocrite. All white history is not bad. All American history is not bad. All Jewish history is not bad. All Christian history is not bad. All Muslim history is not bad. All African history is not bad. All European history is not bad. All Middle Eastern history is not bad. The people that are saying that to you are trying to beat you down. These are the same people telling you, yeah, inflation's going to rise and gas prices are going to go up, but that's just the new normal. Yeah, like they hate you. You know what I'm saying? They equally hate you no matter who you are, unless you're in on it, which most people are not. So people got to really figure this stuff out. I'm willing to have the tough conversations that I know I can have because, first of all, I don't really give a crap what people think. Also, I'm not a hateful person. I would never blame an entire group of people for doing what some Talmudic rabbis do, but there is discrimination going on in the Jewish world. There's discrimination going on in the Black world in America. I mean, it's open. They could have a segregated, like graduation, which in my opinion, here's my only take is like, if you want to do that, I don't care because I'm not even in college. What do I care if you have a segregated? I'm not even going. But if you're going to do that and your whole life is crying about white supremacy, really psychologically what you're afraid of is a white person doing what you're doing. And it's the same thing with Jon Stewart. It's like, I don't care that you feel that way about my race or your race. Just be honest about it. Don't change your name from Leibowitz and act like, oh, I'm white, I'm white, I'm white. And the second someone says something about Jewish, you freak out because that's the ethnic group you feel connected to, not Europeans. That's just the reality. I'm not being rude. That's just factual, and I'm tired of the hypocrisy. I'm tired of the double standards, and I don't have a single ounce of hate in my heart like these people. So I could be willing to talk about it because I believe in the Jewish world, 95% of people have no idea. Like they're not doing this stuff. They're not in with the in crowd. They're just living in the world just like I am. They were born that way. They learn certain things from their parents, and then they go out in the world and try to make something for themselves. And the same with Black or Asian. It's like, I'm not going to blame an entire group of people on what the actions of some are doing, but here's also what the media is not going to do to me. They're not going to hide their agenda behind these groups and act like I'm not allowed to talk about it. I am going to say this about your family, your history, your country, your constitution. It's all evil, and you're not going to be able to defend yourself. If you defend yourself, you're a climate change denier, conspiracy theorist, anti-vaxxer, anti-Semite, racist, sexist, xenophobe, transphobe, and that's just what it is. I'm not accepting that because it's not true. I have no hate in my heart for anybody. I'm seriously mentally and spiritually past that point. I look at my greatest enemies and I think I wouldn't want to be them. You know what I'm saying? When people like swarmed my page the other day and were just like yelling words, I was thinking to myself, even people I hate on YouTube, I would tell my audience not to do that. You know what I'm saying? That's how I know that they're scumbags, because if my audience were harassing somebody, even I would say, hey, that's not the energy. You know what I'm saying? We don't do that here. I would never call for my audience to go harass somebody's page. I don't care if it's my least favorite person. So when people do stuff like that, they try to say, oh my God, you're so hate. I have way less hate than these people. I'm in a point so great now in my life where I'm at so much peace that, you're not gonna make me hate other people. That's how the devil wins. They get you emotional. You know what I'm saying? No matter if you're white, Black, Asian, there's people on the right wing that are lost. You know what I'm saying? They might think they're right, but they got too much hate in their heart. That's Satan. I can't allow these people to make me hate anybody. make me hate myself is what the media is trying to do. Make me hate my own ethnic group, make me hate my country, make me hate my neighbors, make me feel resentful and want to hate, an entire group because they can't do that. That's how the devil wins. So it's like, I look at people like Jon Stewart and I just keep it real. It's like what you're dishing out, you could not take. You could not take. And you got to stop doing it in such a sneaky fashion because it's so disingenuous. It's so wrong. And it's so evil to tell an entire country or an entire group of people that everything you've ever done, your entire history, your entire system is evil. Bro, the Constitution is smarter than anything liberals are doing nowadays. It would be like saying, everything liberals are doing, and I don't believe this, but everything liberals are doing is wrong because, Obama bombed Syria and Obama bombed the Middle East and, George Bush invaded. I'm willing to say that that's evil. I think it is. But to say that nothing America's done in the last 40 years is good just because Obama and Hillary Clinton bombed, multiple Arab countries, that's just not, it's not good. It's horrible. But, that doesn't, does that overwrite Martin Luther King? We love Martin Luther King. That was the greatest moment in American history. It's like, okay, but were we bombing other countries then? Because that, according to your logic, then America's done nothing good in the last 100 years. Let's write the whole thing off, everything. Integration, every bill that liberals love, feminists, it's all evil because America is doing evil things. The whole thing's evil. The whole liberalism's legal. The Democratic Party's evil. That's their own logic, is the whole thing's evil. Like I said with Jon Stewart, I think in history, Jewish people have done extraordinary things and Jewish people have done wicked things. I just find that, there's like less accountability in that world than in any other world. They play the biggest victim card. They take accountability for nothing. And in my perspective, that's been haunting the Jewish world for a long time. As somebody that likes Jewish people, I'm not going to say everybody has anything to do with it. There's thousands of successful people that have a great mindset. In fact, I think a lot of Jewish people from birth, their parents instill wisdom and, belief in themselves. And that is huge, high level thinking stuff. But in general, it's like, I believe this for everybody, where it's like, if you have no self-accountability and self-awareness, then eventually you're going to get got. And in my personal perspective, in the Jewish world, I think that that's what's really haunting them because, there's very, 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 as a group, if you just don't want to group as an ethnic group or a religion and say, we don't even care about our ethnicity, then I'm not going to say any of these things. But there's thousands of special interest groups. There's thousands of, groups that are saying, this is who we are. This is our group, the ADL, the, APAC, where they literally organize and say, we are this. This is our ethnic group. This is our religion. This is what we're doing. So they form a union based on their ethnicity and religion, but then there's zero accountability there. So I'm not trying to blame everybody because most people have nothing to do with this, just like I have nothing to do with 200-year-old American history. However, if you're going to organize as an ethnic group all over the place and none of these organizations are taking a shred of accountability and they're putting out more wickedness than good, that's going to weigh negatively on your group. And you need to identify that. You need to do a better job of representing yourself. If the ADL is saying they're standing up for an ethnic group and they're going around spreading wickedness and censorship, it's not good. It's same with Black Lives Matter. Like, I like Black people, but Black Lives Matter is not a good organization. It's just not. It doesn't mean I blame every Black person in the world for what BLM is doing, but they're a wicked, Marxist, social engineering, completely, in my opinion, evil entity. Have they done some good? Of course, but I don't believe they have good intentions for any ethnic group. So saying that doesn't mean you hate everybody. It means you like people and you think that that's going to be an issue. And in America, I've told people all the time, white people, Christians, I think this country, everybody has gotten too weak on freedom, too weak on their values, and they've allowed the left and degenerates to just totally uplift society. So I don't even play the victim for myself. I don't say, oh my God, it's everybody else's fault. It's our fault. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel a shred of victimness for myself, for my race, for my heritage, I'm not like, oh my God, I'm so bad, I've got bamboozled. Then stop getting bamboozled. If you feel like your men are getting bamboozled, step up. You're a man. You know what I'm saying? Has that ever affected my life? Oh, the media's hating men. I don't care. You know what that's done? It's turned a bunch of men into soy boys. And guess what happens? Because, I kind of crush it. I've never had a problem with women. Not since I've been 19. I was rapping, making videos. Man, I mean, it's not, as I've gotten older, I've gotten like wiser, smoother. I've cared less about women. And I think that helps when you just don't care as much. They like you when you don't care. If you care too much, they're not disinterested. But it's like, I'm fine. I'm not, oh, where are the women at? It's like, Yeah, they're interested in me because 50% of men have taken themselves out of the market because they're so undesirable. So it's like I use this stuff to my advantage. I'm not trying to say in like a narcissistic way, but it's like I'm not a victim. No matter what my consequences, if I'm going up against the world, this is my one life. I got to go my hardest. So I don't feel victimization for being white or Christian or a male. I feel blessed and grateful to be able to just be here in general. And if I was born black, I would hope I would feel the same way, because that's the way to really be successful. You can't look at your black skin and say, oh, I'm so black, I'm so bad. That's terrible advice. If you were born black, you were born whatever, that's a blessing. Go get it. You know what I'm saying? Use it to your advantage and, go get it. If you were born Jewish, you shouldn't think, oh my God, my people are so bad, I hate myself. Why would you do that? Identify flaws, identify the pros, and go get it. Your job is not to say, oh my God, I hate myself. I don't think any ethnic group, any religion should do this, So it just disgusts me when Jon Stewart tells people this, like, bro, you're not going to bully me and you're not going to bully my family, but also I don't even wish this on you. I'm not trying to project the hate onto him. I'm saying seek help, bro. Stop being such a liar. It's hurting your people. It's hurting yourself. Your brand is now, you used to be considered one of these honest guys. Honest people in America, Jewish, black, white, they look at you and say, man, that guy really lost it. You're like Noam Chomsky. The dude, he's just too old. So in general, it's like, I don't have the hate. I feel comfortable talking about this because it comes from a great place. I'm not doing this as if I feel like I'm tired of listening to people, whether they be white, Jewish, black, Asian, Hispanic, women, man, transgender. I don't care. I'm tired of listening to them saying, you're horrible. Your whole life's horrible. I'm going to discriminate against you. You can't do 1/6 of what I do. And I'm not going to allow you in a restaurant because you didn't get a big farmer's. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not a slave. I'm not a serf. I'm not a prisoner. And I respect people like Kyrie Irving that say the same thing. And I respect, rabbis who say the same thing with vaccines and say, hey, I'm not going to get it. I don't want it. It's my American right to not have it. It's not anti-vaxxer. It just means that group of rabbis doesn't want you in their life. That you shouldn't be in their lives. It's not your decision what they do. So I respect people in all facets of life who stand up for themselves. But, I want to say on Joe Rogan, there was someone named Daryl Davis on recently. He's a really interesting guy. He's a black jazz musician who got hundreds of KKK members to quit the KKK, which is crazy. He's black. He's a bigger dude. He's gotten KKK members to quit. How did he do that? Did he censor them? Did he belittle them and dehumanize them? You might think that that's the right answer, but that's actually not what Daryl Davis did. He humanized them. He sat with them and he showed them that I'm such a chill black dude that I'm going to blow their minds of what they thought a black person was. Because some people in certain areas of the country, they only see what they've heard. They've had bad experiences, and meeting somebody of that ethnic group that was cool and real was what deprogrammed them to think that way about all black people. So the way to really de-radicalize people is not to dehumanize them. It's not to kick them off of Twitter. It's not to kick them off of Facebook. It's to actually get to the core of it. That's why I do that even with liberals. I'll make jokes and stuff, but there's a lot of right wingers, screw you, F you. It's like, I'm like, I feel sorry for these people. They got brainwashed by CNN and they don't even realize it. So, you got to get the hate out of your heart, because if you really want to fight anti-Semitism, you really want to fight bigotry, you have to stop acting this way. The ADL, which is Anti-Defamation League, they're a Jewish organization, founded by B'nai B'rith, secret Jewish organization. Look it up on Wikipedia. It's all there. In general, they're always complaining every year, oh, the anti-Semitism's on the rise. Anti-Semitism's on the rise. I don't want anti-Semitism to rise, but you're never going to beat that out of society by censoring people, by crying over Harry Potter, by ethnically hating down on white people, but then not being able to take 1/5 of the hate. It's only going to make people despise your organization more. So the Anti-Defamation League, in my opinion, a Jewish organization, is responsible for more anti-Semitism than almost anybody on the planet. And I'm offended by that. I actually have Jewish friends that I don't want to have to take the blame for groups like that, because they have nothing to do with that. Some of my best friends that have been most charitable, that I feel most comfortable around, are Jewish. They don't act like the ADL. Just like with people of other ethnic groups, that they don't act like Sean King and stuff. It's like, or else I wouldn't be friends with them. It'd be annoying. So in general, it's like, these groups that claim that they're helping, they're hurting because they don't understand how to actually de-radicalize people. first of all, you need self-accountability, self-awareness. You actually have to be a decent person, because if you're a piece of garbage and you're trying to censor everybody from saying you're a piece of garbage, it's not gonna really change the public perception. You're just gonna make people more upset. You're taking away their bank accounts. You're deplatforming them. You're taking their job away over vaccines. This doesn't de-radicalize people. I'm impressed that America didn't do more, and I'm grateful that we're such good people here in this country that, being treated like slaves and prisoners and pieces of garbage for 2 years, that just shows how amazing Americans are of every group. The fact that people acted and behaved so well on a whole after being treated like such dirt. So, it really agitates me, because I'm not looking to take the hate that Jon Stewart has and the anti stances that Jon Stewart has and blow it in his face and say, I feel the same way about you. I'm trying to prove the point is, if people of a different group did that to you, you wouldn't be able to handle it. And in general, that type of energy that you're putting out there is building more hate. It's building more hate. It's building more people that say, man, if you're going to do this to me, I want to do it to you. And that's not how you do it. The Daryl Davis approach, in my opinion, for some things, not everything, is the perfect way, where it's like, have a real conversation with these people. If they're a human being, treat them like a human being. Show them that you're not who they think you are. Don't censor and delete everything off the internet and then say, oh man, that proved me right. No, it doesn't prove you right. It just turns more and more people against you. So I don't know how interested these people really are in solving the problem, but that's my take on it. I don't like people who hate everybody and treat everybody like that. But the biggest perpetrators of grouping entire genders, entire groups, these are the ones that are the most intolerant and the most willing to censor. And I want to say this about Women's Month. On regular, I don't know how I was going to say it, but like, I don't care if there's a Women's Month. I think women are awesome. They make babies. They do amazing things. Some invent, some play sports. Some are CEOs. I don't have any negativity towards. I love women, actually. Women are women. I mean, ask any man if he likes a woman. I would think most are like, yeah, women are awesome. I like women. But on that note, what is like Women's Month? Okay. It's like, what about, is there a Men's Month? And I'm not saying I need a month. I don't. I'm just saying all of society is beating down on a certain gender, on a certain ethnic group, in some cases, on a certain, sometimes it's certain religions where it's like, it's just not healthy. It's not healthy to be like, you're a piece of garbage because you're a boy. Men's suicide is way higher than women's suicide. Why? I'm sure there's multiple reasons, but I would think the way men are being treated in this society has got to be one of them. If you're a boy and a man, they are beating you up at every point of your life. It's like, oh, you're a white man, you're responsible for it. How are you supposed to get women if you think that you're such a beta, you're such a problem? I mean, they're ripping the soul and the testosterone out of men. And if you're black or you're Hispanic, I mean, I guess you can be a man, sort of, but don't be too much of a man, or else, they'd rather you just transgender and win an award and stuff. It's like, people are being beaten down on based on their gender, in some cases ethnicity. Not a lot, but some black celebrities have figured this out, like, Lil Boosie and, Lord Jamar have been like, this is, they're like, this is a ploy to feminize the black man, and they're right. It's true. It's just, they're doing it to every ethnic group. And it's okay to not be a total psycho guy. You don't have to be like a super macho man, but at the end of the day, it's like all of this stuff is just being rigged to beat down on people. And it's not making, the relationship between men and women better or anything. It's hurting people. It's just evil. Where are these people's souls? Like, I would never treat anybody like this. The way that they were talking about American history, I would never talk about somebody's history like that and not at least admit that there's some good things. I wouldn't do that to Muslims. I wouldn't do that to Jews. I wouldn't do that to Christians. I wouldn't do that to black people. That's evil. And it's not even true. It would be evil to be like, your entire history is evil. There's nothing good about it. And you should be banned from my dinners. And, you are a racist dog whistler for disagreeing. These people are straight up satanic and evil. They're horrible. That lady, I'm not trying to be rude, but it's like, she's doing all this stuff. She should not be rewarded for that level of evil. It's like, she needs to take care of herself, literally. She's got issues, and I don't care if she agrees or not. It's true. So it's like, you take care of yourself. You get the hate out of your heart, your whole world opens up around. Especially, you got to take care of yourself. I had this conversation on Twitter by a mistake, but I posted about, I was at a bookstore recently, okay? This was a couple months ago, but I went to this bookstore. and there was some sort of liberal feminist like essay book. It's like 17 liberal feminists like telling you how to live. And I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be a disaster. All right. So I read it because I'm like, what are they showing to girls? This was featured section. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure this has been read by probably some of your kids. But anyway, I'm reading this little essay book, and this lady's telling people, I'm guessing the writer was obese. But she's saying obesity is amazing, you know, and like there's like, not work out in person, like work out the patriarchy, you know, work out the, like she was like using metaphors to basically say, don't work out, don't do fitness, real exercise, you know, exercise your femininity, exercise your obesity, exercise this. It's great to be obese. And I'm like, I'm not a bully. I'm not one, you know, I never treated anybody differently in school. I defended people. If you were bullying someone on your weight, I would defend that kid. You know, I was that type of person. I'm a nice guy. With that being said, I mean, if you're talking about science and forced masking, like there is science behind if you're overweight, you might make a good, offensive lineman in football. But when it comes to over time, when you get into your older ages, etc., it's more weight on your organs. It's more weight on your body. It's harder to walk around. It will damage your bones and your muscles, you know, over time. That's just science. And she says to me, this is some liberal mom who probably just sits at home in a suburb and watches CNN. She tweets him and says, are you a scientist? And I thought it was a parody account because like Babylon Bee and liberals, they're like the same thing now. You know, everything you see on Babylon Bee, it's funny, but there are like millions of people who think exactly like that. So I look at her account and it doesn't look fake. She looks real, like a mom. And I'm like, you think I need to be a scientist to know the science behind telling little girls obesity is amazing without at least explaining that there will be downsides to it? Like, you know, a lot of things mentally, physically, like you think I need to be a scientist to know that. And you're basically accusing me of being anti-science for saying that. I mean, these people are like legitimately in upside down clown world. You know, I wasn't even mad at her. I wasn't like, oh my God, she's such a nasty one. I'm like, I'm trying to process. I'm like, this is a mom with 2 kids. I'm like nervous for her kids. How can you be a good mom when you're sitting on Twitter saying, do you have a science degree to say that obesity might cause like certain issues? And it's like, how in the, like, what are you doing to your kids? You know, I'm like, I have no hate in my heart anymore for these people. I don't, you know, even yesterday when like people were saying certain stuff, it's crazy to me because I'm just thinking like, I've had people on Instagram. I'm live for 3 hours. It was this one dude. I never blocked him. He would come and just say all this stuff all the time and just complain the whole time. And I leveled with him. I didn't say, F you, I hate you. I'm thinking to myself like, bro, if you took this energy that you're giving to me and used it towards something you love, you'd enjoy your day. If you took this energy you're giving to me and put it towards anything, I don't know, a hobby, a craft, a talent, an instrument, like I'm trying to level with this kid because I'm like, bro, I'm not even mad that you're harassing me. I'm weirded out by it because I wish you would take that 3 hours. Like if I took my time instead of focusing on what I wanted to do and what I loved and what I thought would be important and just gave that energy to someone else, it's not healthy for you. I'm trying to like help this guy. It's the same with yesterday. It's like, it's just childish. If you don't like me, I don't care. If you don't like me, if you hate what I say, you could disagree with my politics. You could think I'm a jerk or whatever. It doesn't actually bother me because there's billions of people in this world and not everybody, you know, I don't go around and lurk podcasts I don't like. It's weird to me. It's just like I focus on what I do like. So it's like I'm not even mad. If you could feel my energy the other day, it's like I'm not even mad or upset. It's just like it's just like childish and unproductive. So let me see. I'm going to read a few comments and put them on the screen. Thank you guys for listening. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. So just to wrap it up, the Pfizer, situation at the award show, it was just interesting. I don't know if it's something, but I found it fascinating. I wanted to just share it. The Don't Say Gay bill, I mean, there's a conversation to be had about children and when they should learn certain things. But how are we ever going to have these conversations if the liberals just lie about everything? It's like everything you do, they just lie about it. You're dog whistling. It's like, bro, I want to have a conversation about this. When should a child learn about sexuality? When? That's a difficult question to ask. I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is, but you got to have a conversation about it, not just force it on 5-year-olds and call somebody anti-gay. They're crazy. It's absurd. And I support Ron DeSantis's bill. Personally, I think that they're all lying about it. Second story was, Kyrie Irving. Thank you for standing up for freedom, my brother. I appreciate it. I don't care what your racial, social, political issues are, etc. Stand up for yourself. This country has a lack of people that are standing up for themselves. And the third topic with Jon Stewart and that psycho woman just calling that guy a racist and just saying that our whole history is evil. It's just untrue. You're not hurting my feelings. It's just fake. It's not true. Everybody's history is not good or evil. There's certain bad things that happen. But when it comes to America, the Constitution, the founding, they were basing their principles off of good intentions. I mean, you could, listen to Plato. Was there, I don't know, was there slavery during Plato? Should we not read Plato and Aristotle? Was there slavery during the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu? I love that book. It's not my religion, but I find it mentally and philosophically fascinating. I love the Tao Te Ching. What were Asians doing then? Am I going to condemn the whole continent? It's like Jon Stewart's such a fraud. And what annoys me the most is not to blame him or blame his ethnic group. It's just knowing that he's way more aligned with a different ethnic group and he can't take any sort of criticism or any sort of fictional movies or anything. He is the number one most defensive, most sensory person when it comes to, the ethnic group that he cares about and he defends. And he just dishes it out as if he could take 1/130th of what he's dishing. My intention was never to hurt anyone's feelings or say anybody's horrible or evil. That's not what I believe. I think people are individuals. It's okay to have a connection to your, groups and religions if you'd like. If not, that's your choice. I don't like to tell people who they are. It's like, how would I know how you feel? How would I know what's important to you, your food, your culture? How can I tell you to not care about that? Whether you're white, Asian, Black, Muslim, Jewish, Christian, how is that? How am I going to sit there and be like, you should care more about your ethnic group. You should care less about it. You shouldn't care about it at all. It's like, maybe it's important to you. Maybe the food that your mom made and, your mom, like you want to meet somebody like you. That's on you. I don't care when Koreans have Koreatown. I'm not like, they need to be gentrified right this second. It's like, maybe they want to live that way. I don't know. Like there's a conversation to be had, but there's no hate in my tone or anything. It's like, I don't really feel any negative way. I am just, as a citizen of this country and a human on planet Earth, I'm tired of the hypocrisy. I'm tired of the double standards, and they're not going to quote unquote cuck me in the sense of, I'm not going to sit here and apologize for my race. I'm not going to apologize for my gender. I'm not going to apologize for my heritage. I'm not going to say it's all evil. I'm willing to have a conversation about what was wrong or right about it. But this false history that they're trying to teach, that certain groups had 100% amazing positive history and every other group is evil and everything they did is evil, it's not real history. When it comes down to slavery and stuff, it's way more intricate and complex. Every ethnic group was in on it, sold their own people out. Some people were railing against it. There were some white people that were saying no. There were some that were saying yes. There were some Black people selling slaves. There were others trying to fight against it. It's just like today. You could look at certain patterns, but can you say that every Jewish person supports the Democratic Party? No. A lot do, definitely a majority, but there's thousands of like patriotic Jewish people in America who understand that free speech is important, that, have loyalty. And then there's people that feel the totally other way, and they're just like in a different zone. So it's like, to me, it's just impossible to like be like, the entire thing is evil in America. It's like, dude, stop with this bullshit, because it's dangerous. Okay. It's not just my feelings being hurt. You are trying to upend one of the greatest documents in modern history. It's not perfect. It's not amazing, but it's not based off of slavery and it's not based off of evil. It's based off of philosophical principles that have been around for thousands of years. I mean, once again, folks, first of all, if you're Christian, the Bible, you know what I'm saying? There's wisdom, knowledge, information in that. That's smarter than anything you're going to read. If you're not into Christianity, you could still read the Bible. I would suggest there's a lot of great parts of it. The whole book is great, but if the Tao Te Ching, this is a non-religious text that I enjoy. I'm not Taoist. It's not my religion, but Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching, it's super old and it's super wise. Greek, Roman philosophers. Whatever you got to do. New age people that aren't totally like witchy or anything, but, have like good spiritual principles. This information's been around for thousands of years. To just say the entire past is evil and the entire present is good, it doesn't make any sense. That would be like me saying that nothing liberals have ever done has been good at all, ever, because they also did a bad thing. That's not how liberals feel about themselves. If they did, they'd shut the hell up and say, oh, I'm so evil. Everything I'm doing is so evil. I'm so wrong. I need to just sit on the sidelines. Okay, then do it. Because Obama bombed Muslim countries. Obama, the kids in cages came from there. If you hate kids in cages, then sit on the sidelines, okay? Your whole present history is not amazing. You're not saving the world. You're scummier than George Washington, okay? So stop with this moral high ground. Jon Stewart, you guys got to stop this stuff. It's not helpful to anybody. It's not helpful to ethnic groups you like, you don't like. It's a total fabrication. The only way to really heal the pain in the world is to heal yourself. That woman has internal work. If she healed herself, she wouldn't feel that way. She wouldn't act that way. And that's why I'm not going to hold it against her. That's what I think. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to read some comments, put it on. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. Now we get to the part that people will get to put stuff on the screen. Let me see real quick. This is a good comment. Hold on. I'm trying to find it real quick. Keith on Facebook said, my sex education was in 6th grade. I was still immature, and I don't think I was ready for that knowledge. I hear you. It's a gray area because in general, as a parent or a teacher, but I think it's the parent's responsibility, you have to decide when you want to tell your kid about certain things. Because on one hand, you don't want to wait too long, right? You don't want to wait too long and they learn from someone else. You want them to learn from you probably. So it's a difficult conversation to have. It's like, I don't want to sexualize my kid, but at the same time, I don't want them learning from an Eminem song and a Ludacris song. I would rather them learn from me rather than some degenerate, rap song. It's a difficult topic. It's not like everybody's a pedo if they have a young conversation, but there needs to be a convo about it. I think 5 is way too young. I think the LGBT stuff is a portal to sexualized children. I'm not saying all of them, it's all their fault, but they've passed the line way too far. Like child drag queen and stuff. It's just like, dude, keep it to yourself for like at least a couple years. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think the gay stuff should be taught in schools. I just don't. I don't agree with that at all. So, I'm not a homophobe. They don't scare me. It's not like I cry every night and there's like a gay person in my closet. I have gay friends. I'm not frightened to death of them or anything. It's just like, this is how I feel. And I've said how I feel a bunch of times. So, I think there is a conversation when is too young and when is too late. But in my opinion, what they're doing to like kindergartners, they're manipulating their minds in the way of like, you're a boy. I was told no one told me I was a girl. That never crossed my mind. It wasn't a thing in the 90s. So if people would have told me at a young age, you're a girl, you could be a girl, maybe I would have thought I was a girl. Was that my natural sexuality coming out saying, I think I'm a transgender? No, it's being pumped into these kids' heads. So I agree with Ron DeSantis. I think that's too young. And I think they should go even further, in my opinion, than Ron DeSantis, because it's not a place for these kids. I don't even think it belongs in elementary school or middle school. I don't think it belongs in high school. To be quite honest, I don't think if you want to go off to like a college and learn about some stupid degree that's just going to do nothing, then that's your right. But I don't think, I'm not going to sit and act like that's good or that's normal. Kids are being molded their minds. And if you pump this into kids' heads enough, it's not them learning their natural sexuality. It's you manipulating their minds to think that they are that. And these things have long-term consequences, huge long-term consequences. When you take testosterone or hormone, it has huge consequences. If you manipulate your body, it has huge consequences. So you have to chill the F out when kids are young because it is abusive. If someone is of age and older and they start to feel a certain way and they have conversations with people, I'm not going to, it's not my position to tell you what to do as an adult, but I don't have to agree with it. And I also don't have to act like 5 years old is the right time to do that. It's certainly not. So let me read some comments. Someone said I 1,000% agree. Well, I appreciate it. I also appreciate people who disagree, but I do like people who agree more. Not gonna lie. Someone says, sexual education does not belong in schools. It normalizes premarital sex. If everyone's doing it, it doesn't make it right. I'm going to get a little personal with you guys now. I'm not trying to get into my life. I don't talk about women or my sex life and stuff. I don't feel like it's an appropriate thing to talk about. And plus, I'm not a bragger. I don't really care. But when I grew up, culture, not my parents, culture told me it was cool. It was cool to make out with women. It was cool to have sex. It was cool to, get what. And no one really told me otherwise. I didn't really have any conversations in school with parents. So because I was raised by rap culture, I thought that it was just awesome to go out and do whatever. So, especially when you're young and horny or whatever, it's cool. It's not cool. It's really not cool in society to be like a Christian and abstinent. That's not cool at all. It's like, oh, well, look at that loser. Now I think the opposite. You know, I'm in my 30s. I'm not gonna get into my personal life, but I have lots of options. I could, you know, I'm a blessed man. Women like me. Women like me now more than ever, but I always did pretty well. I always had confidence, and you know what I'm saying? I rapped and stuff. Women like that. But what, you know, it's like I don't think it's cool at all. To be 100% honest, I haven't had sex in a year, and I've had more options in the last year than I've ever had. I just don't want to have literal sex. I don't think it's cool anymore. I'm 32. You know, I could have a child with somebody out of wedlock. I don't want to do that. So I don't think that having sex is really cool, and I think people need to teach their kids that it's definitely cool to be confident and have options, and you know, if you're single, but it's not cool to just bang random chicks. You know, you could have a baby out of wedlock, you could have some issues. It could, you know, it's definitely just not, it's just not cool. And it's like now I could probably sleep with way more women than I ever could in my life. It's just not, it's not appealing to me. You know, it's not, I don't want to do that. I love the peace of mind to know that I'm single, I don't have a kid, stuff like that. You know, I don't want to even risk it. It's not fun at all. I don't care how beautiful the woman is. It's like, it's not how I think. So, but that's not how you're raised. You know, you're raised in this society in America to think it's so cool to bang. It's so cool to bang. And you have to learn one way or the other, either by making a huge mistake or growing to the right age to the point where it's like, yeah, that's not the lifestyle. So, you know, it is what it is, but let me see. I think in general, sexualizing kids at a young age, bad. Pushing it as this like cool thing to do, even when it comes to like, you know, gay sex. I'm just going to be honest here. At the end of the day, here's how I feel about that. First of all, in order to keep our species alive, in order to procreate, which is a beautiful thing in this world, you need to have a penis, have sex with a vagina. That's just kind of how it works. I guess at this point you could do in vitro, and there's probably things that Dave Rubin's doing. I'm not even sure, you know, but at the end of the day, somebody has to have that connection, and that's the natural way to have a baby. That's just the reality. Here's how I feel about, you know, gay sex. To be honest, like say with two guys, it's like you can do what you want and feel what you want in this world, but you know, I think there probably are some health consequences to it because, you know, sticking something like that in a different part of the body, if that's how you're doing it, I would assume that there's some health risks with that. I would assume there's more, you know, because it's something that's not necessarily as clean as the other thing, you know, in some cases, not everyone has a clean, but it's like, you know, to act like that's just awesome. It's like, I mean, I think it's not. And it's like, it's the same thing with like, oh, go bang all these women. Like, no, don't do that. You know what I'm saying? That's not smart. That, you know, there's multiple things that could go wrong in that. And that's actually not cool. So it's like, you know, not only can you not procreate in the normal way, but it's also like you do have health risks that you have to think about. So it's not cool to just go ahead and do ecstasy and just try to like bang as many people as you can. It's like, you're like obliged to think that it's like amazing to do. It's like, is it really though? I mean, you know, I think the same thing with a woman. I'm just like, I don't, you know, people can do what they want. Everything in this life is risky, but to not think about it at all or to not be able to have a conversation about it is crazy. And where are we now? You can't have a conversation about transgender swimmers. Okay, that's hate speech. So, okay, I mean, this was a freaking parody show. I don't care what people do. I seriously don't. Like, I don't feel, in my opinion, I'm not like one of these people that wants to control everybody all the time. There's going to be people that do things I want and people that don't. I don't care. Just leave me alone. But it was a show, Joanna Man, where there was this failed basketball player who transgendered and then dominated in the WNBA. There's a whole movie about it. Why was it funny? Because it's like, dude, that biologically born men just are stronger when it comes to this sport and they do better. It's just science. It's not hateful. It's not, but now that's where we are. That's hate speech. So it's like the slippery slope is real. You can't have a conversation about anything. Everything in the LGBT world is considered transphobic or anti-gay. And it's just ridiculous. It's like, I look at old pastors and I'm like, dang, they really were right. It really is a slippery slope. You know, I never thought that was the truth, but now I'm like, it is a slippery slope. Like you can't, and the part that makes it really bad, in my opinion, is the censorship. If they allowed their ideas to flourish and our ideas to flourish and meet, I would be okay with losing some of these battles, but we're not losing organically. We're losing because they're either doing it on a federal big government level or they're doing it sneakily behind different groups and trying to act as if you're not allowed to disagree with it, where it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I don't have to like what people do. I don't have to like butt things. I don't have to like some people have kinks and stuff. I don't have to agree with it. Just like, it's like, this is not the world I live in. Some people could be like, I'm the threesome dude. And it's like, why? Like, you get what I'm saying? Like being like, I'm gay, I'm gay, I'm gay, I'm gay. It's like, you don't have to think like there's certain Republicans that are like that. I'm the gay Republican. I'm the gay Republican. It's fine. I like certain gay Republicans are my friends, but I'm just saying it's like if I was like, I'm the threesome Republican, all I do is have threesomes with two hot chicks. It's like you don't have to like that and be like, dang. And you could be like, yo, Anomaly's a player, man. Or you could just be like, that's kind of weird. Like all he does is talk about his sexual life. Like I'm just making up an example. You get what I'm saying though? It's like you don't have to like my sexual choices, especially if I'm making them public all the time. I don't make my choices public like ever. But if I did make them public all the time and it's my whole identity, oh my God, I'm the gay guy. It's like, that's what they do. Where it's like, if you hate me, you must be a homophobe. It's like you're putting your sexual life on the forefront. And then anybody who disagrees with it, you're saying they hate your entire group. It's just, it's just weird. I'm not trying to say that's what I do. I'm just saying if I was that type of like Republican, it's okay to not like me. It's okay to be like, bro, that Anomaly guy says too much. He's like bragging about like it's weird. It's weird to take your sexual life, make it your entire thing as like a political person, and then cry victim when somebody doesn't like it. I find it very bizarre. I don't like it on the left. I don't even really like it on the right, to be honest. Like, but everybody has the right to do what they want. It's not all about me and what I like. But, it's the same thing with race, in my opinion, too. People can be like Farrakhan. People can be like, right-wing versions of Farrakhan or Christian versions. Everybody's allowed to be how they want. They can have a strong ethnic group. It's just up to you if you like it or not. For me, at least for myself, I don't feel called to just speak to a certain race. That's just how I personally feel. I don't feel that that's my purpose. When I did music, I never thought about race. And I think it's a beautiful thing. We all live on Earth. We all have similarities. And I just feel like my message resonates with anybody that's honest, and that's how I feel. But I'm not going to stop other people for feeling a different way. It's like, but it's like people that do this, they just act like you have to like what they're doing. It's like, I don't have to agree with it. I don't have to like it. I'm not going to censor you, but I definitely like this new idea that you are a racist, sexist, anti-Semitic, xenophobe, as a conspiracy theory. It's like, literally no. It's not all great in that department. And saying otherwise is just not true. Someone said the purpose, let me see. I want to read this. Someone said, so you wouldn't trade places with Dan Bilzerian? I mean, I'm grateful for my life. I feel like I can achieve what I want to achieve. So if I wanted to try to be Dan Bilzerian, first of all, I'd have to hit the gym. It probably wouldn't happen, but not really. No, I don't want to trade places with him. I think what he does is fascinating, but if you guys don't know, Dan Bilzerian's like a big player. He's just like banging a lot of hot chicks all the time. He's explained it on a podcast one time where he was like, yo, it's a lot of work. Think about it. I mean, if you've ever had like one or two, a woman takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of emotion there. Once you have like 15 women on a boat or something, it's fun. But like, dude, when I go out and party, I'm like exhausted for a week. I don't know if it's because I'm an introvert or I like doing other stuff, but I don't even like, I could do the most fun. I don't even want to go on tour for my own music. I've done big shows. I don't even feel like touring. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather go on vacation. So I wouldn't really trade. I'm not saying it's not like interesting, but I'm not like, it's not that appealing to me. I'm not lying. But if you think I'm lying and I'm just like jealous or something, you could feel that way. But no, I don't think I would trade places with them. And I think as much as it's probably, thrilling to have sex with like that many women in one day, it's probably also mentally, emotionally, and psychologically, spiritually draining. I'm sure it's he's explained it one time. Dude, if it's like, if you were like a polygamist, like imagine having one wife. If you're a man and you have a wife or a girlfriend, it's a lot. It's a great thing. It's a beautiful thing when it works, but it's a lot to deal with one woman and woman. It's a lot to deal with one man. Imagine dealing with like three. No matter how amazing you thought they all were, it's just 3 times as much drama, 3 times as much emotion, 3 times as much texting. You got 40. It's it's difficult unless you're just ignoring them all and they like you. I mean, it is what it is. But I don't know. To me, I just don't. I try not to be like envious or anything. Like if I want to do something, I got to go do it myself. I don't want to. I think it's disrespectful to God to look at someone else and say, I want to do that. Then do it. You know what I'm saying? God gave you this life. God gave you talents. if you want to do your own offshoot of Dan Bilzerian style, maybe you can't be exactly Dan because you're not him, but I'm sure that if you get enough money and you work out enough and you could figure out a way, women like those things. So, there's people like Harvey Weinstein that was pulling women. I mean, he wasn't doing it ethically or anything, but I'm not trying to get too controversial now because I think Harvey Weinstein, I feel the same way about him as everybody else. But I do have to kind of laugh about when people are like, if he's like raping women, that's horrible. If he's like conning women and holding things over their heads, I don't agree with that. However, people are trying to say with him, like, oh my God, he's using his job to get women. It's like, look at Harvey Weinstein. Like, of course he's using his job to get women. How else is he going to get women? You think women just naturally like him for his, like, derriere? It's or whatever, his vibe. He's just his feng shui. Maybe, but also he's got a lot of money and a lot of power. Women like that. They can lie to you all they want and cry. Go to LA. These are not the most ethical women in the world. You got a lot of people trying to get a lot of the same dudes because they think it'll get them status or something. I'm not saying what he did was right. I think he did a lot of messed up stuff and was kind of a scumbag. However, I just laugh at the one, like if you're saying he held this over women's heads and he lied to them, that's not good. You're abusing them. That's not good. But using your money and power to get women, it's like, that's what you do, especially if you're not good looking or something. I mean, what you think like Hugh Hefner, they just loved his physical features? Like, no, the dude's a freaking billionaire, millionaire. It's like he had money, he had fun, he gave women what they wanted, and they used him and he used them. It's like a mutual relationship. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's just like I don't know what you would expect somebody that's like disgusting to do. Like, oh yeah, let me just go out there, at a club and see if women don't like know who I am. It's like, point I'm getting is like, it's definitely, someone said grooming, etc. Yeah, that's wrong. Grooming, right? But at the end of the day, I guess, with certain situations like the Louis C.K. situation, I'm just going to get all the uncomfortable stuff out of the way. I don't even care. But with Louis C.K., he had like a weird fetish and like, he was doing some kind of strange stuff. However, the one woman was saying, oh, he invited me to my hotel room at 2 a.m. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, dude, I wouldn't even go to a guy's room at 2 a.m. You know what I'm saying? Even if I'm the executive at Atlantic, you should come to my room at 2 a.m. I would think that the guy's gay and trying to sleep with me or something, or he's drunk and it's going to be a creepy situation. Yeah, doesn't mean that the guy's gay, but it's like, I'm not going to hotel rooms at 2 a.m. I mean, I wouldn't even invite, I'm 32. I wouldn't even invite somebody over at 2 a.m. You know what I'm saying? Unless I actually knew them or something, like, hey, come over at 2 a.m. That's something I haven't done since I was like in college or something. So this idea that, oblivious woman with Louis C.K. is her comedy career is going to be put on the map at 2 a.m. She's a liar. I'm sorry. Or she's dumb and foolish. It doesn't mean everything he's ever done is right. It's just stop lying. Like you're naive then. You're super naive, and that's your problem because it's like, it's not a woman thing. I wouldn't go to anybody's room at 2 a.m. I don't care if they were the president of the Federal Reserve. In fact, I would be more frightened. I'd be like, yo, are they trying to set me up? Why are they inviting me to a hotel room? Dude, like, do it during the day. Do it in public. I wouldn't even go to someone's hotel room during the day. Hey, 12 o'clock, meet me in my hotel room. No, I've gone to, I'm not going to say who, like, athlete, celebrity, musician. I'm not going to say who, but somebody pretty big. I was hanging out with them as like friends and we're talking and I had to take a piss and they were like, yo, you can go to my room and piss. That was like a normal situation. Like, yeah, I'll just go piss in the room and they're going to like, it wasn't like, hey, come back to my room. If someone random's like, yo, come to my room real quick. It's like during the day for a meeting. It's like, it's not a meeting. You know what I'm saying? It's not a meeting if you're going to their room. So, I want to see this real quick. Cowboy Bear did a super chat that I'm probably going to take off. Cowboy Bear said the other side can suck too. There's a lot of sexless marriage that torment guys. Still get married and have kids though. Just wish I could kick it with Moses instead of 219 instead of 138. Appreciate the Cowboy Bear. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up. Thank you, my man. But yeah, I mean everything's a situation. People have too much sex, not enough sex. Like, I'm not gonna act like it's a simple world. There's people that are in a happy marriage and an upset marriage. Wish they waited longer. Wish they didn't wait long enough. They should have had more kids. They should have had less. Or everybody feels a different way. So I'm not trying to like put an igloo on the situation and say this is what it is. I'm just kind of spitballing. I think a lot of these things are complex and I'm just tired of being censored and acting like I'm a horrible person for saying basic common sense stuff and having my own opinions. I'm sure you guys are too. God bless you. Have a beautiful day and I'll be back soon. Appreciate you guys for hanging out. Hopefully you have fun.